Hello everyone and welcome back to New Comic Book Day here at Comic Vantage. Today's books come to you from the week of Wednesday, November 21st, 2018. Day before Thanksgiving, so I want to wish everyone a very, very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you spend some of the time with me watching my video. Alright, so what I do is I pick out some books to read for the week, things I find that are interesting, or whatever tickles my fancy at the time. Give them a good read, come back here, give you a huge spoiler-filled review. So if you don't want spoilers, back out now, come back later, or you can use the timestamps in the description below to skip the books you do not want spoiled. Let's get started. So our first book this week is Exorsisters #2 from Image Comics. This book was a lot of fun. Everybody who watched my episode about a month or so ago knows I really enjoyed this. It has very kind of cartoony artwork, which really fits with the story because it seems to be kind of lighthearted to start with. You have the two sisters here. They are called Kate and Kate. One with a C, one with a K. Don't ask me which is which because I do not know. All right, they work as exorcists who exorcise demons. Last issue, they go into hell. A lot of fun. So here they are freeing this man from the demon within. But that's not what this whole story is about. This whole story about their mother who came to them for help. At the end of the last issue, mom shows up and says, I need your help, yada yada. And then she drops the bomb that, stop acting like this girl's your sister. She's not. She's your soul. And it's like, what? How did that happen? So this entire episode here, issue, kind of deals with that. Where you have her raising the young Kate and dad leaves, so she becomes a single mom and has to hit the job force. Fast forward a few pages where she cannot find a job. She runs into this gentleman here who offers to give her a job selling candles. But not just any candles. These are candles that grant wishes. So she wishes for a bunch of money. She gets home, box of cash sitting there, and she's like, oh man, all right, I'm going to start selling these things. As time goes on and she's selling these candles to people, she starts realizing these candles come with a price. Because it looks like she is trading in souls. And we got some demons here that are working with her. And this is where everything gets a little dark. Because they came for her soul. And they take it and she makes a bargain with them for her daughter's soul. Which is really kind of creepy. By the time they can get her daughter's soul back, it is so far changed that she can't be merged together. Hence the Kate and the Kate. So they're like, whatever, mom, just go away. And she's like, all right. And this other weird demon is saying, hey, let me help you. And she's like, all right. Cool story. I'm having a lot of fun with this. This laid down a lot of backstory, which was really neat to see. I loved how they have the two sisters actually not being sisters, but still treating each other like sisters. It was good fun. So I would say you should pick this up. It's only 2 issues in right now. Really easy to find. That's Exorsisters #2. And now from Dark Horse Comics, we have The Whispering Dark #2. The heart is deceitful above all things. This book just kind of screws with your head. Now, I've had a lot of fun with this so far. It is kind of sort of a hard read because it's very wordy, but wow, is it worth it. So we have our pilot down here, right here in the middle. Her name is Hannah Vance. Now she is leading this squad, even though she wasn't supposed to be. She was leading, or she was just piloting a helicopter into Russian territory. There's in the middle of the war. Nukes have gone off. And they get ambushed. Choppers go down. People die. She ends up being the highest ranking surviving officer. So she is essentially in charge. So now they are marching through the wilderness, 3 days so far on what they call go pills, which I'm assuming is something close to methamphetamines. And they're just trying to figure out how to get the hell out of here. So, like I said, trudging through Russia. And they start slowly going crazy with everything they've been seeing. Now, what's weird is that it's almost 2 separate stories going on here. You have the main story of all these guys trying to survive and figure out what's going on. And then we have this little blue text. And this is everything that's going on in Hannah's head. And this is pretty much a story all in its own. You can read all of these blue boxes and come away with a completely different story and not even read the main story and still really, really enjoy this thing. You have this huge conflict going on in Hannah's head. She's full of faith, but she seems to be losing her faith as she's traveling through here, and she's seeing some really weird things. She's talking to her, I don't even know if he's supposed to be her dad, somewhere off, so I'm assuming he's dead. Really, really good stuff. They stumble across this old farmhouse. They thought it was abandoned. It turned out it wasn't. They ended up killing the entire family inside. And Hannah's just thinking to herself that she doesn't feel remorse at all for this thing. And how could she have changed so much in just 3 days? And how this little voice is starting to creep into her head where she can no longer hear God. She's hearing this other one. And this is neat. And she started thinking to herself that the humane thing to do would be to kill this girl, and how it was just a soft, seductive whisper in her head, because this little girl was the last surviving member of this family, and they ended up taking her with. This is so good. It really, really messes with your head, especially when they throw in little scenes like this. I mean, she's just seeing these weird bat demon creature things. Really cool. Everybody should be reading this. I see big things happening for this. This is, they compare it to like At the Mouths of Madness, an H.P. Lovecraft story. Or not, was it H.P. Lovecraft? I believe so, anyway. And, it almost has that, Event Horizon sort of feel to it, where it's just, you don't know where this is going to go, and everyone is slowly going insane. I mean, look at this cover for the next book. I would buy that just for the cover alone. It is so insane. And this, people, good writing. Everyone should love good writing. That's Whispering Dark, #2. Huge thumbs up from me. And now on the other end of the spectrum from good writing, we have GoBots #1 from IDW. As you could probably tell from the sound of my voice, this was a huge, huge, huge disappointment. I was so excited for this book. I mean, this is the company that redefined Transformers comic books, so I was really, really expecting great things from this book. Wow, was I wrong. So, we have Tom Scioli, doing the story, the art, and the letters. The only good thing about this book was the pages. It had this kind of classic look and feel to it, like holding an old 1980s yellowed comic book in your hand. Other than that, the art was awful. The story was awful. The premise was awful. We have the GoBots living side by side with humans. So the humans have created the GoBots pretty much to, make their lives easier. They're race car drivers and they're limos and, the normal thing. Leader 1, he's a jet flying around and his pilot talks to him. And then we have this underground robot fight club with Psykill. We all remember Psykill. I loved Psykill. He was cool. He was a great bad guy. And he's leading a revolution where, the Asimov rule of robots no longer applies, and they're just, yeah. The worst part about this is that a lot of the cartoon-based comic books that are coming out nowadays are trying to be too much like their cartoon counterparts, and they're being written like that. It's where Lion Forge is having a lot of issues with this, with their Voltron series and their Dinosaurs, and this fell into the same trap where it's trying to be a cartoon translated to comic book form, and that does not work. You either are going to be a cartoon or you're going to be a comic book. There is no in-between ground for these things. And it just ended up not working, and it was terrible. I mean, can you tell I didn't like this? And it just, like I said, it was just really disappointing because I wanted a great book. So, yeah, that's that. I'm not even going to spend more time on this because I don't want to start crying. And that was GoBots number 1. And then IDW's redemption on the other end is Night Moves number 1. Now this was a good story. I had read the premise of it when I did my premiere spotlight a few months ago, but I didn't really know what to expect. So we start off here with this older gentleman snoozing in his chair, and his name is Chris Dundee. This kid sneaking in is Nolan. And Nolan wants Mr. Dundee to tell him a story. Now, this takes place 40 years from now in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, he starts telling a story of current present day. And you have Chris Dundee hanging out in a bar called Alchemy. This is where it starts getting interesting. Chris Dundee walks up to this woman and starts hitting on her. Turns out she is a police detective. This is Detective Rom. And Detective Rom is here looking for someone named Sophia something or other. Sophia Running Bear. He's like, I don't know where she's at. And so, you know, this detective really doesn't believe him. And she's like, well, you're going to lead me to it. And then all of a sudden, she makes this quick joke. She goes, you know that joke where 3 priests walk into a bar? And he's like, do they say ouch because they walked into a bar? She goes, it looks like we're about to find out. 3 priests walked into a bar carrying shotguns. I mean, if that doesn't suck you in the first couple pages, I don't know what will. So these priests are there to abolish the sinners and to make everyone pay. They shoot the poor bartender right in the face. So, of course, the cop opens fire. Chris has a gun, too, and he opens fire, leaving 3 priests dead. So, they find this weird key laying on the bar. And Tag is the bartender, and he's like, Tag, what the hell were you into? They end up going into a back room and finding this group of people wearing these weird demon masks. And they're almost in a trance-like catatonic state, just sitting there doing nothing. Like I said, this is where this book really starts getting strange and yet kind of interesting. So it all leads back to I guess, kind of a mobster named Smolensky. And Smolensky doesn't appreciate that the cops just showed up at his house. So they end up finding this weird hippie commune where Sophia is staying. And Sophia is hiding from the Smolensky guy because she brought him a woman. And she's having dreams now that he killed her and bathed in her blood. And she said it's almost like he's in her head taunting her. Just straight up crazy. These priests were part of a church group called the Anti-Davidians. So they end up finding the church that they're going to. And we have this head priest here. And one of the cops noticed there's some blood coming from under a door downstairs. And he's like, we need to go down there and see what's going on. And this priest is like, oh, they're doing their prayers and meditations. And, you know, the cops, of course, don't believe him because there's blood. Break down the door. Look at this. Is that insane? Yes, that is a stack of priests' heads right there on the altar, or the base of an altar. And here are all their headless bodies. This is such a crazy story. I have no idea where this is going. But I cannot wait to find out. This is extremely gruesome. It's got a lot of twists and turns. I'm thoroughly sold on this book. This should be a good one that everyone should be picking up this week. This is Night Moves #1. If you haven't read it yet, I would suggest you run out and grab it. And thumbs up from me. And another IDW this week is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Urban Legends #7. Now, Turtles Urban Legends #7 are reprints of the original Turtle series that came out in Image Comics. This is a much darker take on the Ninja Turtles. At the end of the last issue from last month, Casey Jones' daughter got kidnapped. She was being babysat by Michelangelo, so he's freaking out right now. And everybody's like, you know what? It's no big deal. She wandered off. She's just lost. We will find her. So they go looking for her, and they go looking for her favorite homeless man, who, yes, is dead. Charlie is sleeping in a box, but he's not sleeping. He's dead. And he has 3 poke marks. I'm like, oh my god, it's a Psy. It must be ninja. So they immediately think Foot Clan. Now they have a truce with the Foot Clan where they do not step on each other's toes, basically. So Raphael is like, it can't be the Foot Clan. I'm friends with them now. You know, you guys do your own thing. You know, Mikey's got his thing. He's got his apartment. Donatello's got his technology. You know, he goes, I'm a ninja full time, so I hang out with other ninjas. He started hanging out with the Foot Clan. So he goes to talk to them to find out what is happening. He shows up at their warehouse, as you can see, but it doesn't seem like they're very happy to see him. And he gets a meeting with their council. And he is told that, yes, they were responsible. They did kidnap this child. But they didn't know who this kid was until after the deed had already been done. If they had known that she was part of the turtle family, she would not have been kidnapped. But he does give them a lead. He says, kill this man, and you will find the information you are looking for. So, of course, Raphael agrees. And it is a mobster. Let's see. He's a mob kingpin in New York City. And then when he gets there, he finds out they are the ones that have Raphael's, or that have Casey Jones's daughter. I believe her name is Shadow, which is kind of cool for a kid's name. Like I said, it was a lot darker. It is very dark, very gritty. The artwork reflects that. It is very 90s, though, when you read it, if that makes any sense. You know, a lot of over-the-top violence and, you know, the attitude and all that kind of good stuff. But it is a fun read. I'm really enjoying it. And the thing is that this storyline was cut short. It was never completed at Image Comics. And the original writer and the original artist are coming back to finish off this story with a 3-issue arc when it is complete. So that'll be fun to see that. And now we get into Marvel Comics with Web of Venom, Carnage Born #1. And this is Donny Cates bringing the heat again. His storytelling is absolutely amazing. So right here in the beginning, the first thing we get into is the birth of Cletus Cassidy, who is Carnage. And it's like someone is telling the entire story of his birth. They're talking about right after he was born, he died, and then he came back. And then Cletus started seeing things as a young boy, and people were just kind of meat to him, and he was never mutilating his victims. He was setting them free. Great take on Carnage right here as a young man. And then it goes into his meeting with Venom, how he merges with the Carnage symbiote. And now this whole story is being told by his followers. Oh man, I love this panel here. Look at that. That is so cool. Because apparently there's some kind of weird death cult going on that worship Carnage almost as a god. And they want to bring him back. So we have this great little scene here where it looks like Carnage is falling to Earth. Actually, it looks like he was a poison there. Was he ever poisoned? That I don't know. I never read that story. So here he is falling to Earth, being burnt up, but the symbiote is sacrificing himself, being burned on the outside to try to save him. But he dies again. Now, this cult has it in their head that he can be brought back to life using DNA of another symbiote. That the symbiote, his DNA itself, once you bond with a symbiote, that their genetic coding, this codex, is wrapped around his own DNA, and it can be rejuvenated. So they ambush the convoy that is carrying his body. They end up kidnapping him, or actually not kidnapping him, you can't really kidnap a body. And they have DNA from Null's dragon. And they fuse it with him. Such a neat idea. I love Donny Cates' writing. And then we have this weird Null primordial Carnage symbiote bursting out of the shell. But this priestess tells him that he's incomplete, that he needs more pieces of these symbiotes, of these DNA, to complete himself. So she offers her own codex, because I'm sure apparently she has some sort of bond with these symbiotes. And he just kills her. He just, right there, I mean, you can see her spinal cord being snapped out there. But it kind of wrests his sanity back and brings Carnage to the forefront again. Now they tell him, he's like, I enjoyed this. Where's this null? How do I see this again? How do I complete myself? And he's told that every symbiote or every person who's ever been bonded with a symbiote will have a little genetic marker that he can use. And he's like, well, I guess I should get started. And look at this. These are the list of people on his hit list right now that he's going to try and go get symbiote codex from. Really, really interesting stuff. I love this. This is so much fun. Great story. Like I said, Donny Cates, pretty much anything he writes is absolutely amazing. And I doubt this is going to be any different. It's already starting out good. Great framework. I love the foundation. I'd love to see where it's going. And he has this huge list of heroes he can just take down one by one. He can fight. And I don't know how long this series is supposed to be, but I bet it's going to be good. So huge thumbs up from me. Also up from Marvel Comics, we have Marvel Knights #2. And this is another one, Donny Cates, but also with one of my favorites, Matt Rosenberg. Writing this together, having a great time. This is a lot of fun. So from last issue, we know Matt Murdock does not remember who he is. He doesn't remember being Daredevil. Punisher tries to awaken him, and he didn't even remember who he was. So we have all these heroes and villains. Even the Kingpin does not remember who he was. Frank Castle's a cop. How the hell is Frank Castle a cop? But he's going around, he has a list that Bruce Banner has given him. And it's so weird that this is Bruce Banner. Banner came to him with this list to try to awaken these other heroes. And he tells them that he wakes up from these long, weird sleeps and he says these children visit him at night and write these notes, because it looks like it's in little children handwriting. I would guarantee that's the Hulk who's writing these notes to him and not children. It's probably himself and he doesn't even know it. So he shows Frank Castle the Punisher logo, and it kind of awakens him, and he freaks out. He knows he has this other life. He doesn't know where it comes from. So last issue, he was trying to wake up Daredevil. Daredevil just kind of brushes him off, but then he realizes something weird is going on, and now he has to try to awaken Elektra. Elektra wants nothing to do with this. They get in this huge knockdown, drag down. I mean, this huge, giant fight, where she really pounds the snot out of Frank Castle. And she tells him, she shows him these scars, and she goes, in this other life, I got these. And she can't shake the feeling that she deserved it. And she said she doesn't want to go back to that life where either she's getting hurt by someone or she is hurting someone herself. She said she's not this person anymore. And she tells Frank just to leave her alone. So finally, she's just had enough. She's going to stab him in the back. Daredevil pops up because he's almost fully remembered everything, and he's like, you know, we just kind of got work to do. We gotta figure this out. This was really, really good. I have no idea where else this is going to go. We have our own little group here for the next issue with part 3. So it looks like we have Daredevil, Elektra, and this is Bruce Banner down here, and Frank Castle all teaming up together. It's weird that they're throwing, you know, Bruce Banner and the Hulk into a Marvel Knights book, but I can see this working. It should be a lot of fun. So this is another big thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed the story this week. And last book of the week, Black Badge #4 from Boom Studios. Now, the premise behind this is that we have Boy Scouts who are trained as black ops because they can sneak into places that adults can't. You know, who's going to take a second look at a group of Boy Scouts who got lost in the woods and happened to cross an enemy territory? No one. They're just going to help get them home. So that's where we're at. And now we have our kids in Pakistan. They were on a mission, and they run into one of their old teammates named Jimmy, who they thought was taken or was killed, and they had a feeling, or they kind of had a lead that he was here, so they came after him. Jimmy tells them the entire story of how he was recruited, and then all of a sudden he started being sent on his own solo missions. Eventually, he had a lot of questions about everything that was happening. Now, they have this like old myth or legend of this hook hand man who comes in the night and takes scouts. The hook hand man is a cover for these boys who decide to leave and go and join a group called SWOB. That is SWOB, which is Scouts Without Borders. And they formed their own little group to actually help people, not just go and kill and overthrow governments and do extractions and things like that. It was really, really interesting. I am loving the story so far. So Jimmy's like, you guys have got to get out of here. You've been followed. And he gives them a little packet of information. He says, only come back to me when you know what is what. So we have our little team here, and they are being extracted now. They are leaving Pakistan, but they all have a lot of questions. No one is telling their superiors that they found Jimmy. So halfway through the book, we have their commanding officer coming to them and sending them on what's called the Rainbow Badge Jamboree. Doesn't that sound exciting and like wholesome entertainment? Not really. It is where other scout groups, and apparently they don't know this, but there are other groups of scouts who were also trained, and they all come together. The best of the best come together once a year, and they have a competition. But it doesn't seem like it's a very friendly competition. I have a feeling like this is going to turn into Battle Royale survival program. If you have not watched that movie, watch it right now. It's on Netflix. Just go. Just turn off my video and go watch Battle Royale survival program. Anyway, we have the Blue Badge group, who are high-level data analysts. Very smart. We have the White Badge, who are psyops and propaganda. These are the tricky guys. Our next group are the Pink Badge, and this is the girl group, and they are all around well-rounded, the best of all of them, essentially. And then you have the Black Badge, who are heroes that we've been following since the beginning. These are the Demolition, Assassination, and Wet Works team. They do the up-close and dirty jobs. And now they are on this island off the coast of Hawaii where they will be battling it out. And it seems like it is going to get dirty and ugly, and it is going to be a lot of fun. And that is Black Badge number 4. All right, those are my books for the week, so let's do our quick recap. Oh, and I love this. Look at that. Little bolo ties a skull on our Black Badge. Anyway, Black Badge number 4. Huge thumbs up. This book is a lot of fun. It's 4 issues in. You should really give it a shot. Marvel Knights number 2. Another big thumbs up. This was a great read this week. I'm having a lot of fun with this. You know, Donny Cates, Matt Rosenberg, you just can't go wrong with those two names right there. I love everything both those guys write. Web of Venom, Carnage Born number 1. Another Donny Cates story. Like I said, you cannot go wrong. I'm sure everybody already bought this week, so. Ninja Turtles, number 7, Urban Legends. This is another one. Nice big thumbs up. If you're not reading this, you should really check it out. Like I said, it is, especially if you're a fan of some of the older 90s storytelling, this is a great, great way to recapture some of that feeling. Night Moves number 1 from IDW. It's another one. This was a great story this week. A lot of good stories. There are actually a few that I didn't put on this video because they ran a little too long. But wow, there were some great books. This was one of them. GoBots number 1. This was my dud of the week. Wow, I was so let down. I mean, seriously, it was like heartbreaking. And yeah, don't want to talk about that anymore. Whispering Dark, number 2 of 4. This one here is probably my story of the week. Everybody should be reading this. And I was wrong. It's not at the Mouths of Madness. It's at the Mountains of Madness. That was written by H.P. Lovecraft. And this has that kind of feel to it. Everybody's just slowly going insane. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then the last book this week is Exorsisters #1. I love that transition. Look at that. Woo! Man, that's really neat. Good book, a lot of fun. It is a little on the light-hearted side, but I think it can have some dark humor to it eventually. Still, it was a good read. All right. So, like I said, my read of the week is definitely the... come on, where are you? There we go. The Whispering Dark #2. This was definitely my story of the week. Really good. Now, for my cover of the week, Web of Venom Carnage, the Midtown variant. Look at that book, people. God, if you didn't order this book from Midtown, just run, just grab it now. I love Bill Sienkiewicz artwork, and this thing is just gorgeous. Look at that book. Look at it. Look at it. Just look at it. Normally, I don't buy store variants because honestly, I mean, it's a good cash grab for the store, but they have no long-term value to them. So if you're going to buy a store variant, buy one that you are going to love. I love this, so I made sure to order one. Should have it in a couple days, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, people, those are my books for the week. These are my opinions. Your mileage may vary. And if you're new to the channel, hit the little CV down in the corner. Hit the little bell notification up top. That way you get to know all my good stuff as it comes out. To all my current subscribers, you guys are awesome. Seriously. I love the comments. I love the likes. Especially, I love the comments. If there's books this week I didn't review, let me know down below. Let me know what your favorite book was this week. I love finding new stories. And I love talking to all you guys. You are amazing. And yeah, that's it. So you guys all have fun out there. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I will talk to you all later. So, like always, take it easy.